Hello everyone, how are you doing today? My name is Reborn, or Brandon, whatever you want to call me, and today we are going to be talking about the Modern Warfare beta. Call of Duty Modern Warfare is Infinity Ward's installment into the Call of Duty series for 2019, and I just spent 2 weekends of maybe too much time into this game, and boy oh boy do I have a lot to say about it. Modern Warfare finally has, well, I don't want to say finally, but has truly brought a very unique experience that I haven't felt in Call of Duty or ever, really, to be honest with you. It's a very strong and impressive take on the series itself. It breaks new bounds with this new engine. However, there are both positives and negatives. The beta does overall give me a very high hopes for this game. I definitely came into the beta with a very not many expectations, not very high expectations. I kind of just went in into it excited for the style and the setting of the game, but not necessarily the gameplay itself. But now that we actually have gotten hands on it for 2 weekends now, I have fully developed an opinion, and I am going to let you know what I think now. So we're going to take a deep dive into this beta. We're going to talk about multiplayer as a whole. We're going to go through all the game modes, and we're just gonna talk. We're going to have a talk here. First of all, the multiplayer. First of all, it feels very good, amazing to finally have some real modern weapons in our hands in a video game. Other games in the industry, including Call of Duty, have taken a futuristic twist, have gone back in time, and overall it's kind of just like, it just doesn't feel right to me personally. I know just a lot of people right now that are shooter fans, FPS fans, that are kind of feeling the same way, where we kind of just want to play with, something we recognize, something that feels real and right. And rest assured, Infinity Ward has delivered with all they've done to make the models look great. Audio, the gun sounds, they sound amazing. Everything overall just sounds absolutely fantastic, and something we just haven't ever seen in Call of Duty before. Now the new engine does very much help with that, and man, am I glad they did that. Overall, when you enter your maps, you get those cool new entrances to the maps. So that's a fun little twist on it. Not everyone gets to experience it when they drop into the map, but if you play the game enough, you will experience it, and it's pretty fun to drop into a helicopter, to run out through a truck or a van. I did notice some graphical glitches. I don't know if maybe they didn't fully code them. There are times where you'll have a stiffed character model just kind of floating around, or you'll clip through the back of the van, you don't actually open the door. There's a few little glitches with that, but it is a beta, so I'm not really worried about that. The maps overall were actually quite impressive to me. I do know that they wanted to break the mold of 3-lane maps, and although a lot of these maps were by design had 3 lanes, they broke the mold by adding other ways to maneuver and other levels of verticality and all that, which I thought was a great addition and a great change to the maps of Call of Duty, especially because most maps in Call of Duty recently have truly become very boring and repetitive. There's no diss, really, to be honest with you. It's just that they got boring. The gunplay overall felt very satisfying. It was some of the best gunplay in Call of Duty that I've ever experienced, and although gunfights were pretty one-sided and there was not much outplay potential, it felt good when you guys had a good exchange of gunfire and you came out on top, or if you hit a headshot, that felt extremely satisfying. And overall, I thought the gunplay in the game was some of the best we've seen just about ever in Call of Duty. I think the new engine really helps with this. Now, the sniping felt a little weird. I felt like they were trying to kind of ground snipers, slow them down a bit, and although I'm not too into the sniping community itself, and I'm not really sure about their opinions, but to me, it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like, you know, like Call of Duty. And although I know that they were trying to be a little more unique and try to take their own take onto what they thought Call of Duty should go for, it just didn't feel right with the sniping. Something about the scoping overall, it just felt weird, especially in the smaller game modes where it just didn't feel like sniping had the best of place in there. Now I know plenty of people were sniping and plenty of people were doing fine with sniping, but for me, I did have a little bit of a struggle sniping, but overall it just didn't feel too great in like the traditional modes, whereas like the bigger modes it was a little more easier to handle. That's what I wanted to say, and it just felt right. With this game they also changed the fire from hit scan to projectile fire, and if you're not aware of what that is, instead of the bullets just automatically hitting your targets as soon as you pull that trigger, if you're aimed on them, the bullets do travel as if they were in real life. Now, albeit it is a bullet, so it can be very quickly, you do, at a long distance, have to lead your shots a little, and there will be a little bit of bullet drop, so you have to compensate for that. Now, in the smaller modes, it really didn't matter too much, but you could tell that it's projectile, because every once in a while, you would trade kills and stuff, and it definitely was a little weird, and sometimes a little aggravating to trade kills like that, especially if it's a super close gunfight. However, sometimes I couldn't tell if I was lagging or if there was bad connection or if the servers were bad or something, or if it was projectile fire that was getting me killed. Sometimes it felt like I couldn't see, you know, where the fire was coming from. Another hot topic on the beta was skill-based matchmaking, and I know a lot of people were very angry saying that skill-based matchmaking was a thing. Skill-based matchmaking does not belong in Call of Duty. Skill-based matchmaking is not good for a casual multiplayer mode like this. And although I do agree with you on why there should not be skill-based matchmaking, I personally do not believe that there was any skill-based matchmaking in the Modern Warfare beta. There are a couple reasons for that. One, I don't think they would have taken the time to even implement skill-based matchmaking into a beta of the multiplayer, first of all. And second of all, I never personally felt like I was getting constant sweaty matches. Everyone was super try hard. Everyone was going crazy. In fact, I felt that most matches I was just kind of better than everyone. So I'm not sure if I was just getting lucky with my experience or whether or not maybe, who knows, maybe there was and I was just hella lucky. You never know. But I've played for so many hours over these 2 weekends, and never once did it truly feel like as I did better and better, I would get harder and harder matches. I kind of just felt like in the overall sense, now not every game was perfect and not every game I did great. In the overall sense, I kind of just felt like I was doing better and I wasn't really like getting into some crazy matches every 2 seconds. But who knows? Maybe I'm lucky. You never know. There were numerous graphical bugs throughout the game and some other like technical bugs inside the multiplayer parties. There was a point where the cruise missile was bugged, the menu was bugged after you come out of a match. Like, it was all black and white and I felt like I was going blind. There were some times where the map kind of felt very pixely. That was pretty common when you ADS'd on PC. Felt like, you know, it was very blurry around the sights. It was a little weird. However, it was just a beta, and I'm sure with the feedback they get, they will be able to remedy that pretty quickly. And I personally would not be too worried about any of that kind of stuff. Overall, the multiplayer as an experience as a whole was extremely satisfying. and gave me great hopes for this full game release. And I'm just so happy with what I experienced. I'm gonna be honest with you. The guns felt great. My favorite guns for the beta were the M4, the FAMAS, probably the MP5, like kind of like the meta weapons. I did find the Winchester or the MK2 carbine to be extremely satisfying to use. The snipers felt so good to hit a headshot. It really felt so good to hit a headshot with any of the guns. It was really good. The MP7 was a laser beam. Overall, I felt like the guns were very good. Now, I do think that the M4 and the MP5 felt a little strong for their own good, but I think they were alright. Now, I kind of want to transition us into the traditional game modes and the overall, feel of the game. So let's talk about this. We're going to go into all the game. I'm about to take you through a ride, alright? 6v6. We're going to start with 6v6. 6v6 are your traditional things. There is TDM available, Domination, and Headquarters. Those were the original game modes from past Call of Duties that they brought into the beta and let us try out. Now, I thought that TDM was a little weird. It felt very fluky. Overall, I think it could improve. Domination sometimes felt off, but I felt like Domination as a whole was a little easier to control how it was flowing and how it felt. The spawns in these games were very, very spotty. Now they say, Infinity Ward says that they do hear us on that issue and that they should get this fixed. Now, who knows if they actually will fix it correctly. Spawns seem to be a problem in every Call of Duty, and I don't know why they can't fix them. 6v6 felt really great, and it really truly brought back what I loved about Call of Duty in the first place. I could sit and spend a whole day just playing Headquarters or really any of those modes and just enjoy life for a day and have no problem. I could do it for a while. Headquarters is back. I missed Headquarters. Headquarters was some of the most fun I've had over these weekends, and in my opinion, Headquarters was the best feeling and best playing mode during these weekends. It just flowed correctly. You never had too big a trouble understanding where people were coming from, where people were going. Sometimes the spawns were a little off and it felt weird, but overall I felt like Headquarters was like the overall best game mode to get like a good feel for the beta. Now I know some people aren't necessarily a fan of objective game modes, and they don't really want to play something like that, so they want to do TDM. And if you got dissatisfied by TDM, I really would hope that you would go to something like Headquarters to truly get like a better experience and feel for the game, because I truly feel that'll change your opinion completely. My big question is, I'm curious as to how a game mode like Search and Destroy or Hardpoint will do in this game, because there wasn't anything too close to these game modes. They really are very unique game modes, so not being able to see what they feel like is a little strange. 10v10 felt great. Unfortunately, if you see on my screen, I'm not showing you any 10v10 mode. I felt like this game was perfectly designed for bigger game modes, whether it was 10v10 or 30v10 or whatever they're going to bring forth. Unfortunately, the map, Grazna Raid, or however you say it, it's just one of the worst maps that has ever been spawned from Call of Duty. And there's maps from all the companies that are thrown onto this list. But this map is right up here with like Stonehaven, where it just felt strange to play it all the time. So 10v10 overall, I feel like great mode, but awful map. It was plagued by its own map. It wasn't even the modes itself. I don't really have much more to say about that. It's really just a bigger form of 6v6, so nothing really else to change. Now I kind of want to talk about some of the more unique modes and stuff they added that were different from past Call of Duties. Cyber Attack was a rather interesting twist on Search and Destroy. Instead of two bombs, instead of one attacking team and one defending team, there was one central bomb that someone had to pick up and then place on the enemy team's side. Now the plant time and the defuse time was extremely fast, and it almost made it feel like it was useless, except for the fact that it would kind of strategically bring people to a specific spot, which could be used to exploit the enemy team and get kills. But overall, it just kind of fell out of place. I feel like it could be better. Now, I don't have any personal opinions on how to make cyber attack better. Unfortunately, I just haven't really thought about it. However, I feel like it just didn't necessarily have the right place. They also introduced a reviving mechanic where if you go down and you have about a couple minutes to get revived by a teammate, which could be interesting. You can make a cool play, revive a teammate. Suddenly the odds aren't so much against you guys, and maybe you can even bring it back into your favor. But sometimes it doesn't work out. But I think the reviving mechanic overall was actually pretty good. Now, cyber attack is a search and destroy substitute. It's just a big hell no. In no way does cyber attack match up or reach the level of search and destroy, in my opinion. I think search and destroy is incredibly superior to cyber attack. Now, that's not to say that cyber attack is necessarily a pretty bad mode. It's not really a bad mode. I just think that there's no way people would play that over search and destroy. Night vision modes were also added to this game. Now, I don't know if they're going to be in the full game, if they're going to be specifically a night vision playlist, or if they're kind of just going to be in the cycle with the main playlist. It'll be interesting to see what they do. However, I feel like they should probably put them in just the normal rotation, because personally, myself, I would not go out of my way to play the night modes. So I feel like they should probably put it into a normal rotation of the maps, and just every once in a while, they're night vision maps. I feel like night vision mode truly creates a cool atmosphere, and the night vision just looks so great, so satisfying. It's great to see what this new engine can truly do for the graphical quality of this game. And overall, I feel like night vision was pretty cool. However, the ADS, I say that with quotation marks, you can't see me. The ADS was a little strange. It was more like a hipfire ADS, and it basically felt like you had no recoil on any gun, and every gun was extremely easy to shoot. So gunfights felt a little fluky. Sometimes I felt like I died, but it wasn't because they just shot better than me, but more that they could just aim easily without a problem. And overall, that was a little strange, and that kind of turned me off from it a little bit. Nameplates are kind of a problem when it comes to this mode. You could turn off night vision mode, and the nameplates, you could literally kill people just by seeing nameplates, and that was kind of a little dumb. But overall, I think night vision is a cool addition, and night variants are sick and done way better than in past games, such as Black Ops 4, where, I don't know, this just didn't fit. Realism is Infinity Ward's take on a hardcore. It's a little more, I guess, just different to hardcore, but it's a different kind of, it's like a substitute to hardcore. I'm not sure if Infinity Ward's going to put an actual hardcore into the game, and if they didn't, I think that would actually be completely fine. I think this is a good substitute for hardcore. Personally, now I know there's a lot of die-hard hardcore players, and I don't think that realism is gonna fit for those people personally. But I thought realism, first of all, when I first dropped into a realism game, that was the coolest thing ever. The atmosphere felt great. It felt very immersed, and I don't want to sound like a super nerd, but I felt like it truly was the most realistic I've ever felt in COD. There's no HUD. It just felt good. Just something about it felt really good. And there's next to no HUD. You just felt like you were in there. It was interesting, leaving gun damage the same, however, making headshots a one-shot kill. However, it does suffer the obvious same issues as hardcore, whereas it's a lot slower, very, very slow, very grounded. Everyone kind of camps around. It's not as crazy, fast-paced. The M4, other very laser beam type guns shine in a game mode like this. And overall, for me, it's not necessarily my kind of game mode because of how it gets played. Just like how hardcore ends up being, where people kind of just camp around because you kill so fast. You just need to quickly just a little pop and they're dead. And overall, I don't really like how hardcore or realism necessarily feels as a whole, but it was super fun to kind of run around and enjoy some time in realism. I never really had like a bad game, but I could see where it could go bad, go south very quickly in a game if you're not on your shit, basically. Gunfight was Infinity Ward's attempt to bring back a smaller, kind of quick little 2v2 mode, 2v2 grudge match between two people, where you get just a random class and you just battled it out in a one life kind of just quick little round by round map. Now there was 3 maps available during the beta, and there was an extra one that was in alpha but not in the beta, and I'm not really sure why they didn't bring it back. I felt like the maps did it justice and they were very well created for a 2v2 mode. I only like what they is they seem to have fixed it, but at the beginning of the beta it was only picking one map basically 90% of the time, but I think they addressed that and they fixed rotation. I'm not really sure why that happens. It happened in the alpha also, but I don't really know why that keeps becoming an issue. Another thing is Pine felt a little fluky with all the flora and everything around. Some of the sights, some of the way it looked kind of messed with, you know, the vision of the map and players, and sometimes it was a little weird. I feel like some of the classes felt a little fluky in a way, you know, it's just they're so silly with rocket launchers and stuff, that it was just kind of like, I only lost that because they were using some dumb gun. You know what I mean? But it was like, overall, I felt like Gunfight was one of the best times I had on the beta. Sometimes if you have a friend with you, I highly suggest playing Gunfight, because 2v2 Gunfight with a friend is very intimate, close, and you just felt like you're having a great time with your buddy. And I felt like it was super fun. The only downside is it's only 2v2, so if you have more than one friend with you, you're just screwed. You gotta leave them in the dust. Sometimes the games get very sweaty, and it just feels like people are just sitting there staring at sight lines, and it feels really fluky too. But overall, I felt like Gunfight was a really positive experience. They did, towards the end of the beta, add a OSP mode. I forget what it stands for, where guns were kind of on the walls and on the ground, and you picked them up and then fought the people. And I thought that was pretty cool. Felt a little strange at first, but I thought it was a cool little twist on the game mode, and I hope that they have more variants to try out, because it'll be cool to see what they can do with a fun little, quirky little game mode like Gunfight. Now, to end off this deep dive into the beta, we are going to talk about the brand new, crazy, insane, I don't know what the fuck's going on mode called Ground War. Ground War is Infinity Ward and Call of Duty's take on a large-scale 32v32 mode, which is what was available in the beta. Basically, their take on Battlefield. Battlefield, for a long time, has been the go-to destination for a large-scale battle, big war between large teams, and it's been the undisputed champion of that. Now, I can tell you right now that Call of Duty created this mode specifically because there's a lot of, what would be the word, angst inside the Battlefield audience right now, because they've kind of been sticking with the past, and it sounds like they're slowly coming back to modern times. And a lot of people who are really into more of a Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 kind of feel, they've kind of been left in the dust with all this World War I, World War II stuff. And I feel like Call of Duty created this Ground War mode specifically to target at the audience and to gain more traction and players for their game this year. However, I do not think that this game mode does truly live up to Battlefield, and it's definitely not in any way, shape, or form a Battlefield clone. Unfortunately, which is really unfortunate to me. I was really excited to see Call of Duty have their own like Call of Duty feel, Call of Duty style Battlefield mode, you know what I mean? I hope you understand what I mean when I say that. I don't really know how to explain myself with that feeling. One thing about Ground War is that they left kill streaks in the mode, which I personally did not have a terrible time with, but I do know that a lot of people did have some big issues with like the cruise missile or the VTOL jet. There was a bug with that where it was just killing people through a ceiling at one point, but that'll be fixed. But overall, it just felt like, kill streaks didn't really have a place. That's what a lot of people felt. Personally, I don't really mind kill streaks. It's what made Call of Duty kind of crazy out there, and I felt like kill streaks have their place in this mode. However, I do not think they should necessarily be as low amount of kills as they are. Maybe raise the kill amount to earn the kill streak a little higher. There are literally 32 enemies running around this map. It's going to be so easy to get low level kill streaks quickly. That's why you see cruise missiles popping off left and right on this game mode, and it can be a little overwhelming. Now I know a lot of people had non-stop killed by those. I only got hit by a cruise missile a couple times, but I did hear it go off a lot. So I feel like maybe you need to raise the threshold on kill streaks a little bit in this game mode to make it not as kind of overwhelming, which is what I felt like the kill streaks were in this game mode. The time to kill was not changed whatsoever in Ground War. So guns like the M4 and the MP5 wasn't really a problem in this game mode because it was so large, but the gun like the M4 just kind of felt like it was overpowered. You could kill from any range, up close, far away, extremely quick with it, and if you put it in a scope, you wouldn't have a problem hitting people. So overall, it just, maybe you should have raised the time to kill a little bit, Infinity Ward, as it just kind of feels like, you don't necessarily have a chance to push through a field or maneuver through some shots, or it's just, you don't have a lot of opportunity to go, what you want to do with it, because you just get melted if you do the wrong thing. You can't change your mind, you can't make a quick move. It just fell off with the time to kill being so fast. They did add vehicles, there are ATVs, there are tanks, there's a quicker, I forget what they call it. They call them ATVs, but I forget what the actual word are. And they also had helicopters. I felt like the helicopters were kind of useless, though it is kind of fun to fly one around. But if you have a teammate on the side or something, then your teammate's just getting gunned off because the M4 is just too powerful, and it's really easy to shoot people off the helicopters. The tanks are cool, and honestly, they're pretty fun to use and pretty fun to kind of have to deal with. Unfortunately, on the map that we had, there was a big giant cliff, and really every game just someone went to the top of the cliff with the tank and just started spraying down bullets down into the battlefield, and we're just killing players for free inside a very fortified tank. And since the splash damage on the tank was so large, it would get a lot of kills, and it was extremely easy to hit people from far away. So the tanks were a little fluky on that map. I don't know if maybe a map that doesn't allow you to kind of just get a view of the whole entire place, maybe that'll be a little better for it, but you never really know. Sniping in this game mode felt really good. That was actually probably my favorite thing to do on this map, was snipe, and that's really the favorite thing I like to do in Battlefield. So it's pretty cool that I can kind of just hang back, chill around, and just kind of snipe at people. It was a lot more fun than that. It was definitely my go-to thing in this mode, and I definitely really enjoyed it, but fighting within the buildings and stuff just really wasn't for me. The map was alright. I did not like how the meta was kind of just the fight between buildings and inside buildings. I really would have liked to see the outskirts, the more open fields and stuff become more of big giant gunfights between each other, versus it really just felt like you were running into a building. The people who are fortified would eventually just kill you because there's 700 of them, or you would have some stupid little gunfight between windows or something. I don't know. It's just, for me, it wasn't really my thing. I'm more of an outskirts player, and since literally 90% of the players are sitting inside buildings, it wasn't necessarily fun to me. So overall, I felt like the game mode was super cool. In fact, it was some of the most fun I've had in a while for Call of Duty. However, I felt like the map really diminished the replayability for this mode for me. So I'd like to see what they come with. I think it is a great thing that Call of Duty is expanding its reach and its audience, and I think that although it's not necessarily a great substitute for Battlefield, I think it will pull some of those players who just want some good times in a big game mode that can be played slower and doesn't necessarily, isn't necessarily stupidly crazy and quick like the smaller game modes and the smaller maps are. It will be interesting to see if they implement bigger player counts or bigger maps. It would be interesting to see what they're going to go with this, because we only got one taste of this mode, and it was like a tease. It was a tease, I want more kind of thing. So overall, I thought it was really good. I kind of already touched on this, but that was about all I had for all the modes. I think that all the modes were very promising and very strong, and I can't wait to see what the full product has to give me, because I just want more at this point. It's perfect. The verticality on maps, however, kind of created this thing where there would always be someone in this one window, or always someone camped up in here. Sometimes that got really on my nerves, and it was a little annoying. This game definitely created a very slower, kind of more campy little Call of Duty, which isn't necessarily a problem. You just gotta know where you gotta look. However, sometimes it gets a little on the hard side when it comes to having the maneuver and take down each player. It was really cool to see them add cross progression when I logged out of my PlayStation from the first weekend and got onto my PC on the second weekend. It was extremely I was so damn happy to see my level was the same and all my classes were the same, and I didn't have to restart on a different platform. Thank you, Infinity Ward. Thank you, Activision, for actually thinking about that and doing it good. Destiny 2 did recently just put cross save into their game. However, I don't think they necessarily created it very well, and I don't think it's very user friendly. However, I don't know if that was like the only way they could do it or something. You never really know how it goes into the development of something like cross save. So I am very happy with what they did, and I think that cross save's great. That's just great. Crossplay was extremely interesting. No one really understood how it was going to work, or how it was going to be, if it was going to suck, or if connections were going to be bad, or if voice chat was going to just not work, or who knows. But overall, very positive about crossplay. It seemed to work great. I had no connection errors, no connection issues with other platforms. Voice chat did have some bugs, but they said that those were just bugs and they are going to fix them. And overall, I thought that crossplay was very good. I actually spent just about the entire weekend sitting with my friends on PlayStation while I was playing on PC, and sometimes I played solo. But it's nice to see that when you're solo, it largely just picks your own platform unless it can't, and if you're with friends, you go into a larger pool. And it's fun to see all the different platforms and everything going down, and it's kind of fun to just kind of see what people are using. So for me, it's pretty interesting to see it work so just fine. It just worked fine, and that's big. It's a big deal. It's a big deal, man. And that is what I thought about Call of Duty Modern Warfare Beta. This is a really long video. This is definitely one of the strongest CODs in many years, and in my opinion, probably the best Call of Duty I've played in a while, since maybe about Advanced Warfare. And I think that each Call of Duty has its ups and downs, and there are certain things I liked about each, like Black Ops 4, for example. I really liked Blackout. However, their multiplayer was kind of boring. So it's nice to see that Modern Warfare has a pretty extensive and one that you can actually invest yourself into. It feels like you can. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of cosmetics, unlockables, and everything you can kind of go for into this to make the multiplayer really replayable and just not boring. I'm actually excited for this Call of Duty. I will say that right now. Last year, Black Ops 4 was really good. The beta was fun. The beta was great. However, I was extremely let down as it just kind of became more and more boring Blackout was really easy, so it was fun. However, it kind of got old as the year went on, and multiplayer kind of was just always boring, and the Black Ops Pass and the content was all kind of just a scam. So overall, it was a big kind of letdown from Black Ops 4 and Treyarch. It'll be interesting to see how Infinity Ward bounces back this year, and I hope that they will not make as many mistakes, and they have learned and they understand what they need to do to keep this up. The biggest part of that is to see how microtransactions will be implemented in this game. They're going to be supply drops, that's just obvious. They're going to be things that you unlock, they're going to be things done. It's just about what they do and how they do it. I'm not dumb. I understand what company is running this game at the top, and you just gotta keep an eye out. So I will be playing this game and enjoying it. And although the business decisions might not be great, if they don't do anything dumb, don't do anything fluky, add guns to the supply drops, then this game can put as many microtransactions as they want, and that'll be fine. I know that there were leaks about attachments variants in the files and stuff, so it'll be interesting to see what those are and how those are implemented and what they do and stuff, and hopefully that it's nothing too big or too crazy or whatever. So you just gotta go in, you gotta stay cautious, but don't get up in arms about any of this stuff. You gotta take your time and just let it happen. It really seems like so far that they kind of seem to kind of get it, and hopefully that'll continue through their business model. Like, you never know. Overall, a pretty positive feeling about the multiplayer. There are bugs, there are fun times, there's everything in between, and it'll be interesting to see what the full multiplayer experience is like when the game is more ironed out and in its entirety. And I cannot wait to see campaign and Spec Ops revealed later. The only thing I hope they would add, and could add even more replayability and probably make this game one of the best and long-lasting Call of Duties, is if they add Battle Royale. Now, I know that's kind of becoming an unpopular opinion, but it is just facts that you need. That would basically complete the spectrum for replayability from this game. I feel like Call of Duty Modern Warfare can be one of the most replayable Call of Duties if they just add a Battle Royale. Bam! I said it. That's not to say that I necessarily want to play a Battle Royale. I'm just saying, if you want to make it extremely playable and accessible for everyone, you need to go that extra mile, add a Battle Royale, and make it just available for anyone. That way, it's appealing to everybody. They have a large scale game mode, they have the old stuff, they have the new stuff, they have the Battle Royale. For those people, bam, you got a banger. Listen to me. But overall, that's what I think. I'm really excited for this game, and I hope you guys are too. Comment below what you think, and I'm out of here. I just made the longest video in the world. Peace.
We captured Delta. Friendly IAV dropping in. Friendly UAV. Enemy cruise missile incoming. This is our fight. Stay focused. Enemy UAV overhead. Allied cruise missile away. The day's ours. Report for debrief.